did it. They literally did it. This happens to me every single time, guys. Like, if you've been around the channel for even a short period of time, you will know that this happens to me every single time I post a video. I just recently, a few hours ago, recorded last night, posted earlier today around 1 p.m. Eastern time, a video talking about the rumors involving Drake Maye. Adam Schefter reported, what was it, yesterday? No, it was yesterday. It was Monday. He reported that Drake Maye could be starting for the Patriots as soon as this week against the Houston Texans. A day later, the New England Patriots have officially named Drake Maye the starting quarterback week 6 against the Houston Texans, and really the starting quarterback moving forward. And by the way, this is not just a hot take. This isn't, oh, maybe they could be starting him. What's going to happen? No, this is official. The New England Patriots Instagrammed this themselves. They Insta-faced it themselves. They also took to Twitter to also say, report rookie quarterback Drake Maye to start for Patriots versus Texans. One of the big things to remember here is the fact that you can now not take Drake Maye out. Now that you are starting the 3rd overall pick, this isn't a situation where you're like, well, maybe he is ready. Maybe we can put him in. Let's just start him versus the Texans. If he looks bad, we'll take him out. We'll put Jacoby back in. Or, week 7 against the Jags in London, we'll just put Jacoby back in there. No. This isn't a 2020 version of the Dolphins where they almost ruined Tua by not starting him, then starting him, and then taking him out again for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and then starting him again like a few weeks later. Now, once you put in the rookie quarterback, it is the rookie quarterback's time to shine. Not only does this mean that Drake Maye is the starting quarterback moving forward for the Patriots, but this officially means that Jacoby Brissett is being demoted, and he is going to be quarterback 2 for the rest of the season. I want y'all to flood the chat, okay? I want y'all to flood the chat. I want to know what you guys think, because I've already talked about my opinions revolving the situation. I'm going to talk about it here a little bit more today, but I want to know what you guys think. That's why I'm going live. I want to pull up your comments. I want to know, are you guys on the side of starting Drake Maye right now? Or do you think that the Patriots should have given him a few more weeks? I believe it was Ian Rappaport who tweeted out about a week or 2 ago, so not that long ago, that the Patriots weren't ready to start Drake Maye and that he still had some time to go. And I'm paraphrasing here, but he still had some time to go. He isn't developed to the standpoint that they wanted him to be at. And now we're coming off of 2 really bad games from Jacoby, and they're starting Drake Maye. So it's just weird reporting from, again, a week or 2 ago. Ian Rappaport, a very, very reliable source. He doesn't just say things or tweet things out that aren't real, saying that we're still time away from seeing Drake Maye start for the Patriots. And then again, Adam Schefter yesterday coming and saying, yeah, he's probably going to start versus the Texans. And now the Patriots saying today that he is starting versus the Texans. I mean, how are you far away from making your first NFL start? And then a week or 2 later, it's reporting that you're making your first NFL start. I don't really understand how that one makes sense. The fan in me is so beyond excited to see Drake Maye play. Beyond excited. But when it comes to the realistic version of me, the one that does this and talks about the Patriots for a living, I have my adversities in starting him against the Houston Texans. And I got a lot of hate for this. I tweeted this over on Twitter, of course. In fact, let me see if I can pull this up and share it with you guys so you guys know exactly what I said. Let me see. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen with you guys. All right, so what I said was, and I quote, "The Patriots starting Drake Maye against the Texans is one of the worst things this team could do. One of the best pass rushes in the NFL going up against a quarterback in his first career start with an O-line that isn't yet solidified. Let him build momentum. Don't throw him to the Wolves in game 1. And look, I understand. The Patriots are going to play good pass rushes in the NFL. You can't just say, well, we're never going to throw Drake Maye out there against a good NFL defense. That's not what I'm saying. That is never once what I have said. But we are talking about his first career start. You got to remember that playing quarterback is just as much mental as it is physical. If the mental part gets messed up, it's really hard for quarterbacks to bounce back, and confidence is a big piece to that. Quarterback and kicker, maybe you could squeeze in cornerback just to a lesser extent. If you lose your confidence, you are not going to play well. If you lose your confidence, you are going to fall off, and it is hard to build that confidence back because it's now all internal. It all becomes mental. And the Houston Texans, they have a very good defense. Like, let's call a spade a spade. The Houston Texans, they have a good defense. They're aggressive. They're gritty. They play a little bit dirty, too. I mean, it was a couple of weeks ago where there was a couple, not even a couple, but several dirty plays by the Houston Texans, none of which were called. Later on, after that game, several Texans players are getting fined for playing dirty. That's just not a game that I want my rookie third overall pick getting his first start in. And to me, when I look at the schedule, I say, okay, look, it's a short week, right? I feel like if you're going to name, you're going to name Drake Maye the starter, you should probably name Drake Maye the starter early on in the week. Like, even yesterday probably was the day to announce that Drake Maye was going to be your starter, not Tuesday, especially when you play on Sunday. Like, it just feels like they're trying to squeeze this in last minute. And maybe this was the plan all along. Maybe the plan all along was to start him against Houston. But when Jerod Mayo was asked about the quarterback situation after the game against the Dolphins, and he didn't allude to anything, he just said, yeah, Jacoby didn't play great, and he knows he didn't play great, and that was about that. That could have been your time to say, if this was your plan all along, that was your time to then go out and say, okay, well then this is where we're starting Drake Maye. Drake Maye is going to be starting for us next week, week 6, against the Houston Texans. Which makes me think that this wasn't the plan. That the plan wasn't this specific game for him to start. What I would have done is I would have ramped him up a little bit more, right? And we know that Drake Maye has been getting what was reported to be about 30% of the offensive snaps in practice behind the scenes, which is a large number when it comes to the regular season for a backup quarterback. But I would have waited about another week or two. You go into the locker room, you tell the media, you say, we're going to start Drake Maye. My ideal time was week 8. Why? Because you're at home. You're going up against an in-division rival, which he's going to see 2 times a year. Not just that, but the last time that Drake Maye got a real playing opportunity was in week 3 on the road at MetLife against the in-division rival New York Jets. So he has some experience playing up against this defense and against this team to where you can have him mentally and physically prepared. You can even pull some of the game footage from when he played late in the fourth quarter in week 3 and say, this is what you can expect. This is what you can do better. This is what you did well. I know there's not a lot of film to take away from there, but there is at least something. Then you also give him a little bit more opportunities in practice. You vamp that up for maybe 30% to maybe you're giving him 45% of the snaps, right? In order to get him comfortable. Giving him time, again, mentally and physically to start preparing himself. It just feels like this was kind of a last-minute thing to where we're coming in here Tuesday and everybody's finding out that a few days from now, 5 days from now, 6 days from now, Drake Maye is going to be getting his first start. So to me, there's just things that I would have done differently. And I just feel like playing against the Houston Texans is going to be one of the most gritty defenses you're going to play all year. They're going to be one of the most aggressive defenses you've played all year. What we also have to keep in mind, too, is that the Colts have played some of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They're going to now be going up against the New England Patriots, who have the worst offensive line in the league on a week-to-week basis. The Patriots have always been graded as the worst offensive line in the NFL. Hasn't changed at all. Every other team's been up and down on their lists for PFF. One thing that hasn't changed is the New England Patriots. The Houston Texans, like I mentioned, they have played up against some of the best offensive lines in the NFL. They played against the Colts, who have the number 1 overall graded offensive line. They played against the Bills, who had the number 5 rated offensive line. They played against the Vikings, who had the number 15th offensive line. And then they played the Bears. And the Bears aren't a great team. They don't have a great offensive line. I think they have like the 21st best offensive line, something like that. Nonetheless, still much better than what the Patriots have. And by the way, the worst offensive line that Houston has played so far is the Chicago Bears, who, again, around 21st best offensive line according to PFF. You know what they did to the Houston Texans? Or, excuse me, you know what they did to the Chicago Bears? Let me show you. These were the numbers that the Houston Texans defense put up on the Chicago Bears in week 2. They put up historical numbers. 2 interceptions, 7 sacks. By the way, against a rookie quarterback. Oh, by the way, Drake Maye, a rookie quarterback, this is going to be his first damn game with a worst offensive line. Not to mention that they had an 81.8 quarterback drop back pressure rate, which was an NFL record. I'm not saying it's going to be this bad. You better hope it's not going to be this bad. But when you have a team playing this well, going up against the easiest offensive line that they're going to have to face all year, and a rookie quarterback, to me, it just felt like maybe there were better options, better games to start Drake Maye in his first ever game, in his first career start. So again, am I saying sit Drake Maye against every good defense? No, I never once said that. But I feel like you're throwing him to the wolves in his first career game. And I wanted to see more specifically a little bit more continuity from the Patriots offensive line, right? I mean, throughout 5 weeks, we have seen a different offensive line combination every single week. And I said, I want to see Drake Maye out there just as much as all of the fans do. But I don't want to see him out there. I don't want to consider seeing him out there until we have a consistent offensive line, to the point where we are saying that this is not the 6th offensive line combination we've seen in 6 weeks. This is not the 7th offensive line combination we've seen in 7 weeks. And we probably saw the best offensive line here in week 5 against the Dolphins that we've seen all season long. Now, is that because that's their best overall offensive line matchup that they have in-house? Or is that because they played against the Miami Dolphins, who are banged up? They're not playing well, and they don't have a very good defense. They don't have a very good pass rush. Which one was it? Well, we're going to find out. But at very least, if this is the offensive line that they were going to roll with, I wish that that's something that we would have saw with Jacoby Brissett for at least 2 weeks, right? If you really want to start Drake Maye right now, start him against the Jags in London so that we can at least see what this offensive line can look like consistently on a week-to-week basis, because it's only been 1 week. It was only against the Miami Dolphins. For all we know, Javonte Jacobs at right tackle, Mike Onwenu at right guard, Leverett at center, who was terrible last week. Then you have Michael Jordan at left guard and Vidarian Lowe at left tackle. For all we know, that offensive line combination could be terrible. And it just looked good against Miami last week. This week is going to be a real test. Again, why I said, give it 2 weeks. This will be the real test to say, okay, this is the best offensive line combination the Patriots have, or last week was just an anomaly, which, by the way, it still isn't good. We're saying that this is the best offensive line combination that the Patriots have had so far, which it is, but it's really not by much. And yes, I mean, they have to build continuity. If this is the line that they stick with, then over time, it's going to get better, right? I say this all the time, that the offensive line isn't about necessarily having the most talented players on the O-line, but it's about just having the best continuity, which guys play the best cohesively as a unit. The best way that I can kind of back that statement up is if you look back in 2021, the Patriots didn't play Michael Onwenu, their best offensive lineman, for like half the season because the offensive line didn't have good continuity. They weren't playing as a cohesive unit. So what they did was they took out Michael Onwenu, again, didn't play him for like half the season, and they put in Ted Karras, and the offensive line got significantly better. So that's what this offensive line needs, right? They don't need to be switched up every single week. We need to see some of that continuity. And we're starting to see that. At least we're hoping that we're starting to see that based off of what we saw from week 5. But the numbers, the pressure numbers are still very, very bad. Week 1, 44%. Week 2, 50%. Week 3, 56%. Week 4, 53.8%. And then this past week against Miami, it was still just over 50%. It was the lowest that we've seen probably since week 2. But the Patriots overall, they're still averaging just over a 50% pressure rate. You can flip a coin, and it's more likely than not that the quarterback is going to be pressured. And it doesn't need to be perfect for me, right? When I'm talking about Drake Maye coming in, I'm talking about him starting. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be better. It needs to be manageable. I want to say, okay, he's going up against the 20th, the 25th, at worst, the 26th best offensive line in the NFL. I'm not asking him to have top 10. I know that that's not realistic. What I'm asking for is you to not put a rookie quarterback, the 3rd overall pick investment that you made. You don't put him behind the worst offensive line in the league. Like I said, one of which that is trending towards being not the worst, but one of the worst pass blocking offensive lines that we have seen in NFL history. That's all I'm asking. And why am I saying that? Because how many quarterbacks have been here in New England in recent years and their internal clock got sped up? Bad offensive line play ruined these quarterbacks. Let's look at 2023. We'll look recently. Mac Jones was a good quarterback. Was he going to be franchise? Was he ever going to be top 10? No. I think he could have been franchise. Top 10? Probably not. But year 1, Mac Jones showed so much promise. And he never had a top 10 offensive line, but he had a good pack, or a good middle of the pack offensive line. He had a good average offensive line that could keep him upright. But it got worse and worse every single year, with it taking a gigantic step back in 2023. That was arguably the Patriots' biggest Achilles heel, was the offensive line in 2023. Mac Jones starts off last season looking really, really good. As each week went on, Mac looked worse and worse and worse. And part of that was on him. He lost confidence. He didn't have the arm strength to make up for it. He was just making bad reads. But it was also because that internal clock got sped up. There were times that Mac Jones had time to throw, but he was still trying to get the football out in 0.5 seconds because he was seeing ghosts. He thought that pressure was on him when it wasn't. And that's what started to screw him up, is that even when he had time, he didn't take the time to get through his reads. You know, having your internal clock get sped up is essentially just like having anxiety inside the pocket. And then when Mac Jones finally got benched, we saw that same thing start to happen with Bailey Zappi as the weeks progressed. So far, through 5 weeks, we've seen the same thing with Jacoby Brissett. And understandably, it's not just the pressure rates that have been bad. It's letting free rushers through this offensive line consistently. How many times straight off the snap have we seen one defender, two defenders, sometimes three defenders in the face of Jacoby Brissett going completely unblocked? He's getting pressured as soon as the ball is snapped. We have seen, Jacoby Brissett's internal clock get sped up, and that's why he's played worse and worse football. Was he ever going to lead the Patriots to the promised land? No. We know what Jacoby Brissett is. He's ideally not a starting quarterback in the league. He's a high-end backup. He's a bridge quarterback. He can start upwards to half a season for you, but if he's starting an entire season for you, you're screwed. In fact, real quick, I want to look up, because when we signed Jacoby Brissett, we were talking about, he knows this system from Alex Van Pelt in 2022, but he didn't perform well for the Browns in 2022. Trying to see what the record was he brought them to. So in 2022, when he started for Cleveland in the absence of Deshaun Watson, he played in 11 games, and he took the Browns to a 4-7 record. A team who had a much better overall roster than the Patriots. Like, you knew when they signed Jacoby and he was going to start for you, he wasn't going to be the reason you won games. He wasn't going to excel the offense past its limitation. But if you look within the first few weeks, Jacoby was being a magician back there. Like, he was out there throwing on the run, extending plays, making the right reads, making the offensive line look better than it was in reality. But it got to a point where that internal clock got sped up. He started to see ghosts on the field. And that's when he started to make really bad reads over, I would say, about the last 2 weeks. It started against the Jets, but over the last 2 weeks against the Niners and against Miami, it's gotten really, really bad. He's making the wrong reads. He's missing wide open receivers. When he has time, he's not taking the time. I mean, this past week against Miami, that might be the most I've seen him have in the pocket, the most time I've seen him have in the pocket, and he's still trying to get the ball out immediately. It's like, Jacoby, buddy, you have time. But then there were also times where he's holding on to the ball way too long when he does have time, and he's just not making the correct reads. And a big part of that is because of where the offensive line is. Is it completely on the O-line? No, but it is in part because of how bad that this offensive line has been. And Drake Maye is going to come in and be better than Jacoby Brissett. We know that. Like, that's just a fact. Drake Maye is one of the best prospects we've seen at the quarterback position in years. I mean, I remember when the whole Caleb Williams drama was going on, and he paints his nails and he wants to play for this team and doesn't want to play for that team, and all the crap coming out to where people started to suggest that he wasn't going to be the first overall pick because of these problems, these off the field problems. And people started to really talk about Drake Maye being the first quarterback taken off the board. Now, obviously, that's not what happened. That whole situation was early on in the process. But nonetheless, Drake Maye at one point did have enough hype to be the first quarterback taken off the board. And I've said this when the Patriots got him. The Patriots got a steal by getting Drake Maye with the third overall pick. But he's also a young quarterback making his first start, transitioning from the collegiate level to the NFL level, which is very, very, very hard for players to do. I don't care what level of college football you are playing. Transitioning to the NFL is a much different monster. And for me, it feels like the Patriots are trying to get him acclimated to the NFL. They're trying to get him used to pressure and good NFL defenses, not by dipping his toes in the water and gently helping him learn how to swim. They're literally taking him on a yacht and they're dumping him in the ocean and saying, swim. That's what they're doing against the Houston Texans. And it's a crazy analogy, but that's what they're doing. And the thing is that it takes time for your internal clock to get sped up, right? Like, realistically, Drake Maye starting in this game, if his internal clock does get sped up, we're not going to see that game one. It's going to take a couple of weeks. If his internal clock does get screwed up because of this O-line, it's going to take a few weeks to see that. And to a level, Drake Maye is going to negate some of that pressure. But he's not going to make over a 50% pressure rate go all the way down to 30-some or 20-some. That is bizarrely unrealistic. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if early on in Drake Maye's NFL career, we see him hang on to the football for far too long. Right? I mean, he's still building chemistry with these players. He's still getting used to this offensive system, one that Jacoby Brissett's at least been in before, making his first NFL start. Like, he's probably going to hang on to the football longer than he should. We saw that in training camp. We saw it at times during the preseason. But he's also a lot more mobile than Jacoby Brissett. He can bounce around the pocket a lot more. He can be nifty. He can pick up, yardage with his feet. We saw that when he played against the Jets in week 3. He converted 1 4th down through the air. He completed another 4th down on the ground with his legs. But we also saw Drake Maye take off a little too often when he played against the Jets. And that's something that I'm worried about too. That needs to be hammered through his mind that this is a pass-first league. You need to know when to throw the ball away. You need to know when to take the sack. Don't just immediately run. When a gap opens, your first thought should not be run. Because if that's going to be his first thought, he's going to get injured at some point. You don't want Drake Maye consistently taking unnecessary hits, and you have a bad offensive line, so naturally that's going to happen. Don't take more hits than you're going to need to. But he also has better arm strength than Jacoby Brissett. You know, we saw in the preseason too, where Drake Maye would have a defender in his face. Drake Maye is like stiff arming this dude while this guy's pushing Drake Maye back. And Drake Maye, throwing off his back foot, launches the ball 50 yards down the field. Okay, maybe 50 is a little bit of an exaggeration. It's probably more like 30, 40. But launching the ball down the field off his back leg with pinpoint accuracy. These are the types of things you're going to get from Maye. He's going to excel in offense past his limitations, but it's going to take time. No great quarterback came into the NFL being a great quarterback immediately. Tom Brady sat his whole first year, and even when he came into the NFL, he wasn't Tom Brady. It took him several years. Aaron Rodgers sat several years behind Brett Favre. When Aaron Rodgers took over, he wasn't Aaron Rodgers. It took him several years. Jordan Love, same instance. Patrick Mahomes sucked at first, but then he came in after sitting almost his entire first year behind Alex Smith, and he started to learn, and he started to adapt. And I think as Patriots fans, that's also something that we need to remember, is that he's a young rookie quarterback. If your expectations for Drake Maye coming in is, okay, you know what? Drake Maye's going to come in. We're going to be the Houston Texans, because the Houston Texans, they started off slow, and then they ramped it up. We're going to be the Houston Texans. Playoff aspirations are still here. We're taking the AFC East. Don't be delusional, okay? This team is probably still a 6-win team, 7-win team, absolute max. But Drake Maye is going to elevate the offense past his limitations. But he is still going to struggle in the beginning within his first few games as he gets acclimated. For the most part, Jacoby Brissett's been very, very good at not turning over the ball. Minus his game against the 49ers where he had an interception and 3 fumbles. Outside of that, he hasn't turned over the ball. I think with Drake Maye, we're going to see something different. And unfortunately, this offense is in a position, this team is in a position with the lack of talent, with all the injuries, with rookie coaching staff, where if you turn over the ball once, that could massively hinder your opportunity at winning games. And I think we're going to see times where we look back and we say the Patriots lost this game because Drake Maye turned over the ball. He's rookie. He's young. Naturally, he is going to turn the ball over. And the last thing that this fan base should be doing is, as soon as Drake Maye doesn't look the way you want, we're hearing Milton, 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 or Jacoby, Jacoby, Jacoby. I love Pats Nation, but this fan base has been wildly impatient since Tom Brady's left. You bring in Cam Newton. Cam Newton doesn't look great. You're screaming for Mac Jones. Mac Jones comes in. He doesn't look good. You're screaming for Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi comes in, and then you're screaming for, what was it, Jacoby Brissett or Drake Maye or Joe Milton. Like, everybody's screaming for the next quarterback. In fact, even when Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi sucked last year, it was, well, Malik Cunningham, the guy who they're trying to convert to wide receiver. Just don't be that fan base. That's like the only thing that I'm sitting here, Patriots Global, to the fans. I am telling you, be patient. Support your young quarterback, because we are there to be his support system. If we screw up his confidence and the mental aspect of playing quarterback, we screwed over the 3rd overall pick. We, the fans, have an opportunity to either help or hinder this young quarterback. And if you want to be good, you want to play good football, do everything you possibly can to help this guy. Give him love in the comment section. Hype him up at games. Good and bad, show him love. He has a bad game, he has a bad play, don't be in his comment section. Don't be screaming for another quarterback. I don't agree with them starting him this week, but in reality, that's exactly what they're doing. And all we can do as the fan base is support him and do everything we can to make sure that this investment pays off for the Patriots. But I want to get into what some of you guys are saying. I know that I kind of went on my half-hour tangent. I honestly didn't think I had that much in me to talk about with this whole Drake Maye situation, to be completely honest with you. But I want to get into what some of you guys are saying and some of your thoughts. Epic Creation comes in. Epic, I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute, bro. Said Brissett could barely even throw for 120 yards per game, which is why I don't think he has thrown many picks. So he's not throwing for a lot of yards, but he is throwing for a lot of attempts. And that's on the coaching staff. That's on Alex Van Pelt. You have a really good rushing attack. Why are you passing the ball this much? But if you look at game to game, let me see. So week 1 against Cincinnati, Jacoby Brissett threw 24 passes. Week 2 against Seattle, 27. Against the Jets, he only threw 18. That was in large part because literally the Patriots kept going 3 and out. Like they just didn't have they didn't have a lot of offensive opportunities to create plays. Against the San Francisco 49ers, Jacoby passed the ball 32 times. This past week against Miami, 34. So if you look at the overall yards that Jacoby's passing for, yes, it's not high. 121 against Cincinnati, 149 against Seattle, 98 against the Jets, 168 against the 49ers, and 160 against Miami. It's not a lot of yards, but he is throwing the ball a lot. And that's what can result in those interceptions, right? That's what can result in turning the ball over. So again, yes, he's not throwing for a lot of yards, but the reason that he's not throwing a lot of interceptions or turning the ball over much is honestly completely on him. And sometimes that hurts the Patriots a little more. Sometimes he just throws the ball away immediately or takes the sack. Sometimes you're like, okay, Jacoby, let's try to make a little bit of a play here, right? Like at least try to push the ball downfield. And he never did that. We will see that with Drake Maye. But it was overall the smart decision-making for the most part on why Jacoby wasn't turning the ball over. Eric comes in and says, Maye strikes me as a gunslinger. Dude, yeah. You're going to see a different quarterback. Like point blank. I'm not here to tell you guys, like, you're going to come in and you're going to see the same quarterback. Like, no. What did we see in the preseason, y'all? We saw both of these quarterbacks play. I know it's just the preseason, so, like, take it with a grain of salt. But when Drake Maye was in the game, Drake Maye was slinging that thing. Dude, one of the biggest plays I'll remember, it wasn't a big play. It was like probably 5-6 yards. That's what the completion, I believe, went for. What was it? Was it against the Panthers or the Eagles? It was against one of those teams. But Drake Maye has a defender in his face. I kind of talked about this earlier. Drake Maye is like stepping back, trying to push this defender away, and just last second slings the ball. Doesn't go for much of a completion, but he has such good arm strength. He threw off his back foot, and the velocity of the ball hits a wide open receiver before the defenders can get to him, and the Patriots still able to pick up a little something. Most quarterbacks in that instance would have either taken the sack or they would have thrown the ball away. But Drake Maye still creating something out of nothing. Like, this guy has all the tools, right? That's why he is such a highly thought upon quarterback. So many people are saying this, not even Patriots fans. You know how excited the NFL community is for Drake Maye? And they're so excited because of the potential of this kid. He needs to work on that football IQ, but that's also why the Patriots sat him. That's why he didn't start week 1. He's had all off season. He's now had 5 weeks, an extra month, little over a month actually, to get even more acclimated here, to help out that football IQ. The only way you're going to improve your football IQ is just getting on the field and playing. But he has the arm strength. He has the mobility. He has the accuracy for the most part, a little inconsistent, but he overall has pretty good accuracy, especially deep. And it was before the San Francisco 49ers game. So heading into that 49ers game, the Patriots were the only team that hadn't attempted a pass 20-plus yards down the field. The Patriots just weren't taking shots. I understand that they didn't have a lot of guys deep, but they also really just weren't taking shots deep in order to try to create big splash plays. Drake Maye is the type of guy who literally can sit there, dance around in the pocket, have 2 defenders in his face, throw on the run, and launch the ball 50 yards down the field. he's going to take shots down the field. Point blank. Whether guys are open or not, he's going to take shots. And sometimes that's all guys need. Sometimes all they need is the opportunity to make a play. You know, I mean, you look at Javon Baker, Drake Maye gave him 2 beautiful opportunities in the preseason to make a play, and the wide receiver just didn't come down with it. We've seen Jalen Polk make crazy contested catches down the sideline all season long from Jacoby. I can only imagine what that's going to look like with Drake Maye, because Drake Maye has a much better connection with Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, these rookies, than Jacoby Brissett does. Like, I really feel like this could be not just the outbreak of like Drake Maye, but this could be the start of the outbreak for Jalen Polk too. Jalen Polk has the second best separation percentage out of all rookie wide receivers, but we're not seeing that. Why? Because he's not getting the ball. Why? Because Jacoby Brissett's missing him, or he just doesn't have enough time to get him the ball. Jacoby doesn't have the arm strength to sit there, have a defender in his face, and then make a throw off platform and still have the arm strength to get it all the way down the field to his receiver. Drake Maye does, and that's the difference. Drake Maye might be off platform, he might be throwing on the run, but as long as he sees the receiver, he has the talent, he has the mechanics, he has the arm strength, he has the accuracy to be able to get those guys the ball. And how many times have we seen Demario Douglas or Jalen Polk open and just nobody throws them the ball? That's part of why both of these receivers have vocally been so frustrated, because we're getting open. The ball just isn't coming our way. Let's get into a couple more comments, see how you guys are feeling about this. Bro, I got to figure out how to put a poll in the chat. I know, I got to be better. I got to be better, man. Ooh. But you know what? While we do that, let's take a listen to today's sponsor over at Aura. Keep you, your friends, your family, everybody safe from the threats you face online. And then we'll get back into some of these comments. Hey guys, sorry to cut the video real quick, but I had a very important question that I had to ask you. And that is, have you ever Googled yourself, or maybe a friend, or maybe a family member Googled themselves and saw their private information being used? Maybe like their name, their phone number, their social security number, their address, maybe their credit card information. God knows I have. And the only reason that I was able to find that and take care of it was because of today's sponsor over at Aura. So what Aura is an identity protection service. And what they do is they go ahead for you, so you don't got to do the hard work, and they scour the internet for any of your information being used illegally that you didn't want them to use. The other great part is that they'll monitor your credit. They'll see if your phone number is being used to robocallers, which if you don't know what those guys are, they're essentially the ones that call you about 5 times a day. Because little do you know, these data brokers are actually trying to sell your information to robocallers, to spammers who are trying to find out your own personal information, such as where you live. So what Aura will do is they'll essentially send you an email or notification saying that, hey, someone's trying to use your phone number. Someone's trying to access this information about you. Do you want us to delete it from the web? Fortunately, in today's society, a lot of threats that we all face on a day-to-day basis come online. And unfortunately, the scary part is that we can't always see it. Aura's going to come in, protect you, protect your family from threats that we can't see and we don't even know are coming. So hey, look, you guys can go right ahead and let people exploit your own private information, or you can go to the link in the description box below and pinned in the comment section below to go ahead and sign up for your 14-day free trial over at Aura. Yes, guys, so check out Aura. Right now, I have that pinned in the comment section below. I'll also have that linked in the description box below here shortly. It also supports the channel massively. If you also do want to go that extra mile to support the channel, check out some of the products below from Fanatics. With us talking about Drake Maye, with him officially getting the start, you might want to get yourself a Drake Maye jersey, a Drake Maye shirt, some Drake Maye merchandise, some signed Drake Maye merchandise. I have all that linked below from Fanatics. When you guys click those links, it's a special link. It doesn't change the price for you at all. You still get all of the deals that Fanatics has, but it forces Fanatics to give me a small commission-based price from that. So if you guys are going to get a Drake Maye jersey or Drake Maye merch, you might as well do it with those links and help support your boy a little bit. But let's continue on. Delusional Patriots fan says, Daniels was my guy. Yeah, dude, I love Jaden Daniels, but I did feel like Drake Maye fit the Patriots system and what they wanted to do a little bit better to run that West Coast offense. But Daniels was the first prospect that I personally ever fell in love with. And right now, since he's started for the Commanders have the number one scoring offense. He has changed the trajectory of that team completely. Now, before we start comparing Jaden Daniels to Drake Maye, and Drake Maye can make that switch for the Patriots, let's also keep in mind he has Terry McLaurin. He has a better receiving cast, a much better offensive line. So he has a veteran head coach. Now, I understand that's his first year, Dan Quinn, first year being the head coach for the Commanders, but he's been a head coach before. He's been in the league for a very, very long time. Jerod Mayo just got here in 2019. This is his first ever head coaching opportunity. So we're comparing apples to oranges here, but yeah, Daniels has definitely changed the trajectory of that team completely. And again, that's what it means. Like when you hit on the quarterback position, it changed the trajectory of your team. Jaden Daniels with the Commanders, CJ Stroud with the Houston Texans, two bottom teams who hit on the quarterback position, and they're starting to rise up. That's why you do everything you can to hit on the quarterback. Let's see. Get into a few more comments here. I'm a Pats fan. Let's go, but wanted him to develop better. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of Patriots fans are. There's no one that's in the middle, right? Like, you're either a Patriots fan and you're on the spectrum of, I wanted him to stay a little bit longer, or you're a Patriots fan that says, stop it with that developing crap. He needs to get thrown out there. He needs live game reps if he's going to develop, which I actually might be the only one in the middle. I do understand both sides. And for him to develop the way that we need him to develop, for him to be better, he does need to go out there and he does need to get live game reps, right? Like that's the only true way he's going to develop. Using the VR system at Gillette or getting reps in practice, that's only going to help him so much. It's only going to help him to a degree. Consistently going out there and getting film on himself is going to help him. But the reason that I think people wanted him to develop a little bit more is that you can never be too cautious, right? You can throw a quarterback out there before he's ready and completely ruin him. There's no such thing as being too cautious and having him be too ready. And I think that's where the cautious Patriots fans are coming from, because once you screw a quarterback up, you screw a quarterback up. It's very rare for a quarterback to bust and then come back and be revived. Geno Smith is one of the only quarterbacks to do it. Baker Mayfield's one of the only quarterbacks to do it. Sam Darnold looks like maybe he's doing it. Is it him or is it the Vikings offense? We still have to see. But it's very rare for a first-round quarterback to go from all of the hype, all of the potential, a franchise ruining him, and then him being able to revive himself. My boy Tyree comes in with a $2 donation. First donator of today's chat. Tyree, my brother, I appreciate you so much for going that extra mile, supporting me, supporting the channel. It really, really helps us. You said, I'm in the middle with you too, my dude. Tyree, brother, it might be me and you. It really might be me and you being the only ones who are like, I understand why he needs to play, but I also would have been okay with him, being behind the scenes and developing a little bit more, because I'm also somebody who believes that you got to wait to throw Drake Maye out there until he's in the perfect situation. He needs a top 10 offensive line. He needs a number one wide receiver. Like, no, like let's calm down. Like, there's some Patriots fans who wanted to wait to start Drake Maye until Drake Maye had a 49ers offense, right? Like, that's not realistic. It is very hard to build that type of roster. And even teams that have it takes several years to do. Like, Drake Maye's supposed to rather excel the offense past its limitations. I don't know what happened to me there. So I don't believe he needs the perfect situation around him. All I'm saying is that I don't want Drake Maye to have an historically bad offense around him. Like, there's a difference, having an average to below average team around him, start Drake Maye. Having an historically bad team around him, to where you're asking a rookie to play superhero football, maybe we sit him. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. But at the end of the day, like they needed to, right? Like they kind of had to start Drake Maye sooner rather than later, or you were going to lose the locker room, right? Like I don't think that's what people are understanding. Is I think that how Jacoby has started to play started to bend the hand back of Jerod Mayo and the coaching staff. Did they want to start him now? Did they want him to develop a little longer? We don't know what the thought process is. But because of how Jacoby's been playing, with how frustrated this offense is getting because of it, you are going to lose the locker room. And Evan Lazar talked about it the other week, and everybody went at him that the locker room's starting to become a mutiny and all this crap, whatever. I don't think he was completely wrong. Like, I think people are getting mad at him for saying something that was clearly starting to become true. It feels like the locker room throughout the last couple of weeks has started to get a little bit toxic. They needed something new. They needed something to come in and revive it. And if they know, if the players on the Patriots know that you are sitting the better quarterback who is going to help them and help the offense and help you start to win games, but you're going consistently with the guy that's going to hurt you, sooner or later, they're just going to check out. You're going to lose the locker room. And I feel like that's kind of where it started to get. And again, because of how bad Jacoby started to play, it's like we need to do something before the vibes in the locker room become just as bad as they were in 2023 with Belichick. Adrian comes in and says, how much of the offensive struggles are put to Alex Van Pelt, or is the O-line and receivers so bad that it isn't fair since they can't really execute? It's both. It really is both. And I hate to be the guy that comes in like unbiased on both sides, but like it is both. That's the truth. Two things can be truthful at the same time. Both things can be right at the same time. Alex Van Pelt hasn't been great in the slightest. I thought he's had some really good and creative play calls at times, but he's also had some really, really bad play calls. I mean, if you look at the game plan last week against the Dolphins, why did we pass the ball over 30 times against one of the best secondaries in the NFL, but you ran the ball 12 times to Mondre and 6 times to Antonio Gibson for a total of 18 rush attempts against one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL when you are a run-centric offense? Your identity is running the football. It's really back and forth. It's like he comes out with a game plan that makes absolutely no sense with what the strengths of our offense are and the weaknesses are of the opposing defense, but then he'll come up and have some really creative play calls. So it's definitely on him to a degree, but this is the first time that Alex Van Pelt has also called plays to this extent. He's never called plays all game long every single week. He's called plays before to an extent, but not even nearly to the extent he's being asked to do it for the Patriots. So we're also asking him to kind of even out some of the irons, and he's kind of working through his own internal wrinkles trying to get better. If we get to the end of the season and he's showing the same thing, then yeah, it's just Alex Van Pelt needs to go. The Patriots need a real offensive coordinator, and thank you, Alex Van Pelt, for doing what we needed you to do, coming in, evaluating the quarterbacks, and helping develop Drake Maye. But again, we have to understand that this is the first time he's doing this and really calling plays. And just like Drake Maye, the only way that Alex Van Pelt's going to learn is through repetition. And he also doesn't have a great team around him, right? I think it's better than what we've seen from him. I think the cast we have is better than what we've seen, for sure. But you also can't necessarily execute the way you want when you have to say, okay, well, we want to, we want to run the ball more. We want to utilize these running backs more and utilize these pass catchers more and get more of the receiving game. But this offensive line is so bad. Now we need Ramondre to stay back and block, and we can't send him out to be a pass catcher. We can't send Antonio Gibson out to be a pass catcher. We want to run more 2 tight end sets, but we can't do that because we need Hunter Henry or Austin Hooper to stay in as an extra blocker, right? It definitely does hinder you to an extent with the things that you can do offensively when you do have such a bad offensive line. So again, both things are true. My boy Tyree comes in with another donation. My boy Tyree is killing it today. I love it. I love it. You said, here's for you being the best Patriots YouTuber we need right now. Thanks for what you do, bud. Bro, thank you. Thank you for the love. I mean, dude, I've been doing this. I was thinking about this the other day, bro. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I'm 22. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. I started doing this my sophomore year of high school. Crazy. And because of it, I found my love. I found what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I'm in college for this right now. I'm working with Roundtable Sports, an upcoming sporting network. Make sure you guys follow Roundtable Sports. In fact, I'm hosting 2 of their roundtables tonight, one at 7 p.m., the NFC South, and one at 9, the AFC West. So make sure you guys tune into that to see a little bit of extra content from your boy. But we're going to be here all game long, all day long, all season long for the New England Patriots. This fan base, let's be honest, this fan base is at a really weird position. And if you're here right now listening to it, you're a real Patriots fan. But let's be honest, this fan base has died off. It feels like when we're not contending, the fans don't want to be here. When we're winning, the fans want to be here. Say what you want about Jets fans, man. That fan base is there ride or die. They show up. They want to know about their team, whether they're doing well or they suck. And they have sucked for a very long time. The Patriots have only sucked last year and this year. Other than that, they've been great the last 20 years. Even in the post-Tom Brady era, the Patriots were contending. In 2020, with Cam Newton, they were a game or 2 away from going to the playoffs. In 2021, they made the playoffs. 2022, they were 1 game away from making the playoffs. They held their own fate. The last 2 years, 2023 and 2024, these have been really the only bad seasons that we've seen from the Patriots since like the 90s, the 80s. Like, it's been a really long time. And I think the fan base is definitely spoiled to an extent. We need to be here to support our team, to ride for our team, because if you cannot be here through the hard times and through the rebuild, you do not deserve to be here when this team gets back, when they start contending, when they start winning the AFC East again, and they start winning playoff games. So let me tell you, ride or die for your team. Because right now, we're witnessing the journey, right? It's not about the destination. Everybody wants the destination, but it's about the journey to the destination, not just getting there. So right now, we are witnessing something beautiful. We are witnessing a complete restart to this franchise, and we are seeing what this new story is going to be on the road to becoming a good team again, to becoming a contender again. And don't you want to look back and say, wow, I was there throughout the journey. I know exactly how the journey went, and I supported our team through the journey. That's just going to make it better for you and more emotional for you at the end of the day. If you're here supporting the Patriots right now, you're a real fan. And if you're only supporting the Patriots when it's positive and you leave when it's negative, you're not a real fan. You're a bandwagon. Shout out to my brother Tyree, though, for coming in, supporting me, supporting the channel more specifically. Of course, you guys know I do everything on this channel by myself, from editing to production, top to bottom. Nobody else does anything on this channel. So your support goes a massive, massive way. So Tyree, buddy, thank you so much. My brother Neil comes in, says, May bringing different energy, still got 6 to 7 wins. Yeah, I mean, like, again, let's look at it, right? Let's pull it up. Where is it? So let's look at it real quick. This is the Patriots' final schedule. Right now, you have 1 win. So I said they would have about 6 wins, meaning they need to get 5 more. So it's realistic. And injuries have killed the Patriots, especially with who the injuries have come to, especially these captains. So even with Drake Maye starting, that hurts them significantly, but you're definitely getting an upgrade at quarterback. Houston, I'm sorry, bro. Like, it'll surprise me. It will surprise me if we win that game. But you never know. When a rookie quarterback's getting their first start, there's no film on them. Sometimes they surprise. But I'm going to still say that's an L. Against the Jags, who finally got their first win against the Colts, that's definitely a winnable game. Against the Jets, they just fired Robert Saleh. What are they going to look like over the next 2 weeks? We have to see. That's at home. That could be a winnable game. The Titans, that's winnable. Bears, winnable. Rams, I'm going to say we lose that game, but they've been wildly inconsistent. Dolphins, the Dolphins just always seem to own the Patriots. I think Tua will be back by then. That's an L. Colts, they're kind of on the same trajectory as the Jags, one of the worst teams in the league. That's at home. I'm going to say the Patriots win that game. The Cardinals, that can go either way, but I'm feeling generous. I'm going to say the Patriots win that game. I'm going to say they lose twice to the Bills. And then that Chargers game could really go either way. That one's tough for me. Could injuries be surfacing at that point? That kind of leans the Patriots into winning that game. But let me tell you, Harbaugh is coaching the hell out of that team despite how bad that roster is. And it might just be a situation where they have the better coaching and it just outcoaches Jerod Mayo. So 6 wins is still possible. But let's not act like this team is, going to the playoffs now because Drake Maye is starting, right? But shout out to my boy Neil Ray coming in with a $2 donation. Brandon Flores, another longtime supporter, comes in with a $2 donation. Buddy, I appreciate you. Said, hey, babe, I don't like this decision. What do you think? It's happening, right? It's happening. And I went on my whole rant about this already, but, do I love the decision? No. Do I think that Drake Maye does need to start sooner than maybe ideally we wanted him to? Yes. And at the end of the day, this season is dependent on developing your young players and hitting on Drake Maye. I don't care how many wins or losses we have. If you leave the season saying you developed him correctly and you hit on Drake Maye, then this season is a dub. That's just like saying if you got 10 wins, you made the playoffs, but you busted Drake Maye, you made the playoffs, congrats, but the season's still an L. So for me personally, it just comes down to the game they're starting him in. His first career start being against the Texans, I feel like is kind of just setting him up for failure personally. I would have waited against the Jags, or more specifically, the game that I was looking at was the Jets at home. But that's not what's happening, unfortunately. But all right, guys, that is going to end it for today's stream. Just wanted to come on here, share kind of my thoughts and opinions with you guys on this whole Drake Maye situation. We got 124 of you guys watching right now. Please, please, please leave a big, big like on this video right now. As my boy Graf from the Raiders would say, wipe your feet. What that essentially means is on your way out, hit that like button. It helps support tremendously. We got 90 of you watching on YouTube. Let's see how many likes we can get before the end of the stream. It supports the channel massively when you guys like the video. It helps the YouTube algorithm. If you aren't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe to the channel for all your Patriots news. Hit that bell notification so that you get notified every time we go live. And guys, Drake Maye plays football this Sunday. Drake Maye plays freaking football this Sunday. This is the first time that we are going to see Drake Maye play an entire game for the New England Patriots, which means I better see all of y'all, all of you guys, and I saw who was in the chat. I better see all of you guys live this Sunday on this channel for a live watch party. Win or lose, baby, I'm still here. I'm still making content like real Patriots fans do. We're still doing our live watch parties all year long. And I hope to talk to you guys. I hope to connect with you guys and react to how Drake Maye looks in his first game as a New England Patriot live on this channel this Sunday versus the Houston Texans. I'll have more content dropping for you guys later on throughout the week. But next time we go live, unless there's more breaking news, is probably going to be Sunday for game day. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. The Drake Maye era is officially here in New England. Strap up, guys, because the journey starts. This is where we start to write the story for the New England Patriots. And boy, oh boy, am I excited. Appreciate you guys for watching, taking time out of the day to hear me talk some Patriots news. But as always, go Pats.